Factions new and old once existed in Fallout 76, but in the years since the bombs dropped, a mysterious and catastrophic event killed everyone in the area, meaning the stories of these groups will be told through holotapes, documents, and the environment. However, their lore and origins will be key to the game's story, so to get you up to speed, here's everything you need to know about the factions in Fallout 76. The Enclave are one of the most secretive and most powerful organisations in Fallout history. They were heavily connected with the United States government and military prior to the bombs dropping. Their founding members embraced the inevitability of a nuclear war, and rather than fight it, they simply planned for it. They believed that the majority of the nation could not and would not survive the bombs. However, if they could keep the important people safe, they could quickly regroup, rebuild the country, and eventually wipe out communism for good. Shortly before the bombs dropped, the Enclave evacuated the major figures of their organisation and the United States government to a remote oil rig off the coast of San Francisco. They were also the shadowy organisation behind Vault Tech and the building of the vaults that were used to experiment on their residents. The results of these experiments were intended to help the Enclave prepare to either recolonise the Earth or colonise another planet if Earth turned out to be uninhabitable. Outside of the oil rig, other Enclave divisions retreated to their own secure locations around the US. However, when the bombs dropped, most of these groups lost communication with one another, and their main headquarters on the oil rig became largely isolated. One of these secret Enclave bunkers was located in Appalachia, and it's from here a division of the faction attempted to retake control before the catastrophic event occurred that killed everyone in the region. The Scorched are not a normal faction, but they are probably the most important group in Fallout 76. Beneath the ground of Appalachia is a type of fungus known as Scorch, along with a vast colony of bat-like creatures known as Scorch beasts. How exactly they got to be there is unknown, but what is known is that after the bombs dropped, a number of these beasts broke out onto the surface, leaving large rifts in the landscape. In the process, they also brought spores of the Scorch fungus with them, and this is responsible for the crystalline growths seen on humans transformed into the Scorch. It's very likely this is the event responsible for the lack of life in the region, and shutting down those rifts will be a major part of Fallout 76. The only way to close the rift is with a nuke, but even that will only be temporary, as the beast will eventually resurface somewhere else. As for the humans infected with the Scorch, they appear to be somewhere between an intelligent and a feral ghoul. They mostly consist of former residents of the area who banded together into small groups before turning into the monstrosities they are today, and they still resemble their former selves to a degree, often using weapons and wearing the clothes they had on them in their former lives. It's also been reported that the Scorched possess a hive mind, sometimes chanting "We are one" when attacking. The Responders are another new faction unique to Fallout 76. They were founded after the Great War by emergency service personnel local to West Virginia. These volunteer groups of firefighters, police and medical staff all teamed up to try and help civilians after the bombs had dropped. Over time their ranks swelled as survivors volunteered to join up, and they slowly spread across the region. They set up emergency aid stations in various towns to provide assistance to survivors, be it medical aid, food and water, or simply survival training. They also try to help those infected by the Scorch, but don't seem to have been successful. Like every other human faction, they are long gone by the time you emerge from the vault. However, their automated aid stations and protectrons are still around, and some of them continue running trading posts, which you can use. Raiders were also once present in the region and were just as bloodthirsty and ruthless as we've come to expect from them. In Appalachia, their leader was a woman called Rose, who set up her base of operations in the top of the world ski resort. What's interesting, however, is that Rose actually still seems to be alive, and when you go near her base, she begins speaking to you over a public address system. But with Bethesda being so adamant that there are no human NPCs that exist in the game, there must be more to this story. The Free States are another new faction unique to Fallout 76. They were a separatist militia founded by a group of survivalists in the years before the Great War, when the threat of the nuclear apocalypse was growing. These individuals had prepared for the worst to happen, and when the bombs fell, they were able to shelter in their bunkers and survive, at least for a little while. However, one of the most interesting elements of their origin is their connection with a US Senator named Sam Blackwell. Sam was incredibly popular, winning his re-election with a staggering 73% of the popular vote. However, his open support of the Free States movement would cause his popularity to begin to wane. The Free States were known for having minor scuffles with police, but these eventually broke out into open violence, and calls were made for Sam to resign as he continued to unwaveringly support the group. A while before the Great War, Sam vanished along with his daughter, and although search parties were organised, they were never found. However, eventually he briefly surfaced to do a newspaper interview in which he talks about a sinister force at work in the halls of government. He advised anyone reading the interview to flee into the wilderness to avoid the government's gaze, and he used the interview as an opportunity to officially resign from the government and the nation itself. This sinister force is almost certainly the Enclave, and no doubt knowing they wouldn't risk him revealing their existence, he went into hiding, potentially in one of the Free States' secure bunkers. The Brotherhood of Steel are a quasi-religious technological military order that was founded by Roger Maxton in California in the years following the Great War. Little is known about the early years of the faction, however at some point before Vault 76 opened its doors, the Brotherhood of Steel in California used a functioning satellite to extend their reach across the United States, eventually making contact with Appalachia, where a new branch of the faction was founded. The Brotherhood's main priority is the acquisition of technology, and over time, their efforts equipped them with a powerful array of things like energy weapons, power armour, and combat implants. However, during these early years, they are likely less well equipped than we have seen from them in other games. However, in the region known as Toxic Valley, there is what appears to be a crashed space station. Definitely something the Brotherhood would be interested in. We will undoubtedly learn more about each of these factions in Fallout 76's full game. But which are you most interested in? Let me know in the comments below. As always, this is James for Curse, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.